Ondo Finance, ticker ONDO, is the undisputed leader in the RWA sector. With the exception, I guess, of Chainlink, some people would suggest that Chainlink is the segment leader when it comes to real-world assets, but I think that's more of a technicality. Let's say it's Ondo, and one thing as far as justifying that is the fact that it already has all kinds of products and features that actually work when it comes to this space. Not every RWA platform can say that, and at the helm of that functionality and that real-world pragmatism, I guess, we find Ondo's two stablecoins. The first of those two is USDY. This is a yield-bearing stablecoin backed by US Treasuries, and it targets institutional and accredited investors. Then, of course, there's also OUSG, which is a tokenized fund backed by US Treasury bills. This is mainly, of course, tailored to institutional investors as well. Ondo has also purpose-built its own Layer 1 chain, and this combines the openness of a public chain on the one hand, but it's also partly permissioned, and the latter offers compliance and security features. Then there's also the Ondo Bridge, which apparently I don't have access to, but this uses the bridge technology of Layer 0. Both Ondo Finance and Axelar Network add extra protection in this context. The current transfer options available include 4 different chains. Those are Arbitrum, Ethereum, Mantle, and Solana. And then with the converter, you can swap between tokenized assets and their real-world equivalents. So this is kind of like moving from USDY on-chain back, if you want, to US dollars off-chain, or the other way around, vice versa. In early September, global markets went live. This is Ondo's really finance flagship. In one move, we saw over 100 tokenized assets went live. And these include stocks, if you like Tesla, Apple, Amazon, kind of traditional, for the most part, TradFi stuff. However, if you live in the US, unfortunately, it is not available there. But if you live outside of the US, and if you do have access, then you can transfer these stocks 24/7. And that's while minting is available 24/5. So 5 days per week, all day long. In other words, you have access to the decade's top performing US stocks. Again, if you live outside of the United States. Ondo's ecosystem is also massive right now. It just feels unstoppable, actually. Currently, you can find 141 different partners in this ecosystem. It just seems to keep growing, actually. Up to 15 different networks are represented in this ecosystem as well, including Sui, Polygon, Injective, and Stellar. Quick shout out to Surge here. This is our risk-free prediction game that's available on Telegram. And in this game, you just swipe left or right. You can kind of think Hamster Combat or even Tinder. You're swiping to guess whether a crypto asset pumps or dumps. And in the process, you earn rewards. And actually, hopefully, you can pick up some market skills as well while you're at it in the form of technical analysis. They've also kicked off a weekly giveaway. It's a contest that is super simple. Every week, there's a coin of the week. And this week, it is Trump, TRUMP. And all you have to do is swipe to find it in the Surge app. Then once you see it, screenshot it and then drop it under their tweet. One random reply wins $50 in USDT. It is super easy, but in order to win and have a chance at winning, of course, you have to at least participate. So check out Surge, have some fun swiping, and maybe snag some cool prizes along the way. Check out the links, the URLs in the description of this video below to participate. Let's consider now all that's happening in terms of news and announcements and developments over at Ondo Finance. As far as the latest goes, there's Oasis Pro. On the 6th of October, Ondo completed the purchase of Oasis Pro, which was a very big deal. This brings 3 very important features into Ondo's stack. Number 1, SEC-registered broker-dealer. Number 2, alternative trading system, or ATS. And number 3, transfer agent licenses. That means that Ondo now has compliant tooling to issue, to trade, and to manage tokenized securities in the United States. This bridges, of course, regulated financial assets on-chain. And it may also be a way for the global markets to become accessible in the United States, if you think about it, especially with the current crypto-friendly government. So it's kind of great that Ondo now has these US licenses. However, and of course, any shifts in SEC or US securities law could obviously affect tokenized securities platforms. Integrating Oasis Pro is also a complex operational challenge because it requires scaling tokenized stocks and managing compliance across all kinds of different jurisdictions. Logistically, that's not a simple task. So there is still plenty of work to do for Ondo, but nonetheless, it's a very positive step first few steps forward for Ondo as a project. Ondo has also recently appointed Peter Curley as head of global regulatory affairs. Peter brings a lot of experience to the table as far as shaping financial policy. He did this at the SEC and the US Department of the Treasury. And actually, he even has some experience on the opposite side of the spectrum, including at Coinbase and Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing Limited. So as of this recording, it looks like Curley is pretty well connected, and that doesn't hurt. Altcoins are finally on the move once again after what's been a pretty tough 2025 so far. People are getting the feeling that altcoin season will finally start soon, if it hasn't already, which it has according to some. And SWI is having a great 2025 so far, bucking the trend from most of the first half of the year while still growing right now. It has quickly become one of the leading altcoins in this market and is even up over 240% in the last 12 months. And that is for a few different reasons. First of all, SWI is killing it in all the big sectors it supports, including DeFi, where SWI already crossed $2 billion in TVL. SWI also has some of the fastest stablecoin growth of any chain, so that people are using it for real-world pragmatic transactions. Walrus is changing the game in decentralized data storage. Its token launch was a big hit, while Seal and Nautilus make things more secure and more private. And SWI 0x1 has been shipped now, and many people that have ordered it are already playing with it. SWI even has a small but growing meme coin market for the meme coin lovers out there. So if that's your jam, then you're covered as well. If you haven't yet used SWI or haven't done so lately, then come give it a try. And also follow SWI's X account for all the latest updates and announcements. Check out the link in the description of this video below. Let us now do some light technical analysis and consider the price of Ondo, ONDO, which as I record is at about 76.5 or so cents. It's got a market cap of $2.4 billion and out of 10 billion ONDO tokens, we only have 3.1 billion already in circulation, so 31%. That's not great. Also keep in mind that Ondo has a slightly unusual vesting schedule. Unlocks happen only once per year, always on the 17th of January, and that's going to happen all the way until 2029. The only other two times this happened, the Ondo price, ONDO, actually didn't suffer. However, it's definitely something to keep an eye out for. Perhaps there will be a reaction this upcoming 17th of January. These unlocks are for 1.94 billion ONDO. And at the current price, that's worth over $1.7 billion. If we look back at the last year here, ONDO is actually down nearly 8%. And really ever since, what would you call that, March, early April, since about that time in 2025, Ondo has kind of been caught in this sideways trend. Support was at 67 cents in June. Resistance was at $1.14 in July. A more recent resistance zone seems to have materialized at about 98 cents, 99 cents. Let's call it $1. Breaking above that resistance would obviously confirm a bullish momentum. But really, Ondo has not made a decisive move yet. It's kind of been ho-hum. The all-time high for context was $2.14 from December 2024, so December last year. It is currently about 60% down from that. But having said that, I do see Ondo as one of those projects that's going to do well and will respond well once the bull run kind of resumes, I guess, for lack of a better term. Also, in the long run, ONDO seems very solid as a token. I would take this with a grain of salt, but what a lot of people are saying is that by 2030, the RWA market should be worth at least $16 trillion. Currently, it's a tad shy of $20 billion. So again, be skeptical here. I don't want to get into the hopium kind of overhyped territory. But if you were to go by those numbers from 20 billion to 16 trillion, we are talking about a multiple of many hundreds of times here. If that's even partially true in the next few years, then of course Ondo, by all accounts, should do very, very well. All right, let's crunch some numbers here. Let's consider a range of price predictions from the more pessimistic to the more optimistic and do some calculations as to how many ONDO you're going to need to be a crypto millionaire if you cash them out at the height of their value. At the current price of 76 cents, simple math here, you need 1.136 million ONDO. But that's pretty straightforward. We're not really interested in that per se. Let's talk about milestones, and we begin with the $1 resistance. That's an easy calculation. You need 1 million ONDO if the token hits $1. If we consider the July resistance of $1.14, there you would need 877,000 ONDO to be a crypto millionaire. And getting progressively more optimistic here, we consider Nico Z on X, who sees $1.30 as the next target. If you want to cash out at that price to be a crypto millionaire, you will need 769,000 ONDO. Crypto B on X sees a $2.16 price, even in the short term. That would equate to 462,000 ONDO. Umair Crypto on X sees a doubling, perhaps even a tripling from where we are right now. A doubling is $1.76 or about 568,000 Ondo, whereas a tripling means $2.64. That would equate to 378,000 ONDO. More and more optimistic now. John Lee sees $7.50 as being in the cards. That would mean 133,000 ONDO for direct access to the Crypto Millionaires Club. And finally, Jolly Green Investor here on X, the most optimistic. Again, be skeptical when you're considering the most optimistic scenario. But we're talking about a $20 price here for ONDO. That represents about a 22.7x from where we are now. And if you held Ondo at that price, you would need only 50,000 tokens to be a crypto millionaire. I'll say straight up that $20, at least in the short term, is too optimistic for my liking. I won't object to it in the long term, but that's what it is. It is a long-term target if you like Ondo. Don't expect that to happen overnight. But I would say at 76 cents, ONDO does seem to be overvalued. And if you're in it for the medium or the long term, then by all accounts, the RWA market is very fertile, very rich. It's a space that is expected to grow. And obviously that includes its overlap with the cryptocurrency space. So let me know your thoughts about ONDO, where you think the price of this token is going to go. Let me know in the comments below, and also join our social media discussions on X, on Discord. Check out the Discord channel, by the way. You can find those links in the description of this video.